Hey, what's going on, you guys? I'm Dacia Science here on Adobe Live with Olivia and Zach Fields. How's it going, y'all?
Hello, going
Hi.
good.
Hi. So today we're going to be learning and grooving with you guys, doing some cinematic videos for social. You guys are travelers and amazing content creators. I've been
Thank you.
going and exploring your Instagrams,
Thank
and
you.
they've been really delightful. I feel like as a person who hasn't traveled all year, it was like a really nice reprieve to go down into content. So yeah, tell me a little bit about you guys. What's your deal? How'd you get into this?
Absolutely. So I am a photographer and a social media influencer content creator. That is my full-time job. And Zach has like a normal job, but he like also helps me and does all of my video stuff. So he is quite the jack of all trades, or Zach of all trades.
Zach of all trades.
Nice.
That's a new, you're the Zach of all trades. So he does all of my video stuff, and we typically do a lot of travel vlogging and blogging, and really up until March of this year, like considered ourselves like travel influencers. But obviously we've had to pivot a bit. So we've been doing a lot more like interior home stuff. We built a house this year, so that's been pretty like exciting to like document. And surprisingly, I feel like my audience has made that shift with us and has become like really interested in our at-home lives as adults too. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
I love it. I love it. That's another journey of sorts, you know, building and creating a home. I mean, come on.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun.
Definitely. And it's been so fun to like document that. Like I just have like all these ideas now for like home renovation videos I want to make and like photos I want to do. So I'm glad that we're staying busy.
That's rad. I mean, do you remember, I don't know, maybe I'm aging myself here though, but I used to watch Bob Vila on PBS all the time.
I'm not familiar.
Okay, well, go back into the records there on the YouTubes, because Bob Vila was the jam. I mean, you know, watching a transformation of a house is always really cool. So I'd love to see y'all spin on it for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely been fun for us to start doing little house projects. And actually our video tomorrow will show decorating our house, and we did a lot of DIYs. So it's been fun to kind of get into that space and build our own stuff. Even though we built the house ourselves, there's still so many little projects and little things that we want to change.
There's always something, right?
Yeah. It's amazing how there's literally always something to do.
Totally. Well, hey, I also want to give a shout out to everybody out in the chat pod. I know some of you guys are on YouTube, but I want to encourage you to go to behance.net/Adobe Live. That's our home base. And oh, hey, what's up, Teresa and Lee, Ariana, Voodoo Val? I haven't seen Voodoo Val in a long time. Really cool to see you guys. I see a little Bob Vila love in the chat pod. So okay. Thank you.
It's not just you.
I mean, he was around for like 30 years. I don't know, maybe longer. So, let's just jump in, y'all. Tell me what we're going to be working on today.
Yeah, today we are doing a What's in My Camera Bag video that Olivia is, you know, just showing an update of all the gear that she has. So yeah, do you want to elaborate a little bit more on what we're going through today, Olivia?
Yeah. So as a photographer, as a content creator, I obviously get a lot of questions that are like, hey, like, what do you use to take photos? Like, how did you get this effect on your videos? Stuff like that. And a while back, I made a What's in My Camera Bag video when I was just a little young single gal traveling about, and everything fit in my little backpack, and it was cute. But we've definitely like shifted and evolved a lot, and everything's completely different. And I also, which I feel like a lot of people don't know this, I shot Canon for 8 years, and then last year I switched to Fuji. And so that was just like a big jump, and people have a lot of questions about that. So I figured we'd do an updated What's in My Camera Bag video. Although there really isn't an actual bag, it's more of like a metaphor.
Toolkit.
It doesn't all fit in a bag anymore.
Many Pelican cases.
Yes. What's in my Pelican case would be more accurate.
Yeah, that is scandal. You know, I feel like people get like into the, like, you know, there's the Nikon team and there's the Canon team and the Sony.
Oh yeah, I would have never ever switched from Canon to Nikon. That would be a sin.
Which is
I'm
funny
in the
because I
Canon
was
camp.
team Nikon when we got married, so I had to give it up.
You
It
made
was literally in our compromise, like our marriage compromise was, I was like, you have to switch to Canon. And like, I was very avid, like a Delta airline flyer, and Zach is an Alaska airline flyer.
Did you switch to Alaska then? Because
Yes,
I
I switched to Alaska, and then he switched to Canon. Those were literally two compromises we made.
I feel like those are the beginnings of a great partnership, you know, for sure. Well, cool. I'm excited. I've got a lot more questions about what led to the shift, but this is not an episode about teams, so
What made you do it?
Why? No, Fuji's cameras are amazing. I actually I saw you guys went to Alaska, and I bought a little Fuji, pretty portable camera, but it was super powerful, and I shot a lot of really gorgeous pictures in Alaska with it. So yeah, more on that. We've got a couple hours to hang out, so I'm sure. Yes. Back to you, Zach. Sorry.
Yeah. I think so. We're gonna obviously go through. We'll start the project here. We'll go through how I set up my folders, how I set up my Premiere project, kind of the basis, and then we'll get to editing. But I think Paco's got a video to queue up for us. We're just going to show you a couple like 2-minute teaser of what the final product's going to look like, and then we'll start editing.
Cool.
Okay, this little guy is a powerhouse. So this is the Atomos Ninja, and it is a monitor that we put with this little mount right here on top of the camera when we're recording video. Some things about it that really like sealed the deal for us in regards to recording on this versus recording with just the camera is, of course, it's a bigger screen, so you can see what you're shooting a bit better. And also you can preload your LUTs onto this. So when we're recording, we can see kind of how our shot's going to look after it's already colored, which is really helpful. It also records to this solid state drive. So instead of recording to the SD card in the camera, it records to this, and it also records in a little bit of a higher quality as well. And I really like this specifically because if we're shooting photos and videos in the same occasion, we can record all the videos to this, and then all my photos will just go on the SD card that's in the camera, and it just helps really differentiate where each of those files are and makes it a lot easier when importing. The Ronin S. This again is for video, not photo, but we use this a lot, especially when we're traveling or just want to make really cool like cinematic videos while we're out and about or walking around. This acts as a nice stabilizer for the camera, and it just makes all of the footage look so smooth, and it's just a great little gadget to have in our gear arsenal. So if you're looking...
Sweet. All right, so that was just a little teaser. You can see we had some top-down shots where we're going through all the different items in the camera bag, and then we also had a couple of in the field shots and a little picture-in-picture action. So we'll go through how we make all of that, how we color it. This video actually in particular presented an interesting challenge because we only have one camera. So we had to shoot everything on our iPhones. So kind of mixing the two qualities together, it was actually really impressive to see how well the iPhone did.
Yeah,
but then
like
coloring that and balancing it was a new thing for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the B-roll shots of you like using the gear, like I was so shocked that it was shot on iPhone, and I'm the one who shot it.
You're like, I know for sure it was. Well, I mean, it's great that you say that. Like Voodoo Val in the chat was like team iPhone because I know nothing about cameras, and like that's the reality. Not everyone needs to start out on a very expensive camera, and use what you have, right?
Yes.
So that's really cool. I'm glad you guys, I hope we dive in a little bit deeper into that too.
Yes, if you're team iPhone, we're going to be working a lot in Adobe Rush tomorrow. So
cool.
I'm back for that.
Amazing. Do we have well, first of all, I also want to shout out Paco. Thank you.
Yes.
Today, running everything. Where are we all at? I'm in Austin. You guys are in Portland, right?
Just outside
Yeah,
of
we
Portland.
live just outside of Portland, Oregon.
So-
I forgot to mention that in our intro.
Yeah,
That's where we live.
I don't think I even introduced myself. So, moving
Yeah,
on.
who are you? What do
Who
you
am
do?
I? So I'm Dacia. We're just all out of order here. We do what we want here. I'm Dacia
Absolutely.
Science. I'm on the engineering team. I'm a quality engineer for motion graphics templates. So I work across After Effects and Premiere. And before, in another life, I was a youth media educator, and I also worked in documentary filmmaking for a long time.
Oh,
Doing
Very
kind of
cool.
social justice driven documentary work, and really just helping to teach people how to make movies for everything and anything, using whatever you had, including just your iPhone if needed. So yeah, I'm super excited to be here with you guys. And do we have a schedule to look at? I think we want to maybe see what else is going on today. Let's see. Okay, so we'll be here with you guys till 2, and then after that we've got the XD Daily Creative Challenge coming up, and then some doodle therapy, which I think I'm going to stick around for because that always seems fun to me. And then we'll be doing this tomorrow too. Same schedule, same folks. So please join us tomorrow too. And all right, let's jump in.
Sweet. All right, so we'll start out here in Premiere. So we'll just make a new project. We'll start from the ground up. New project, we'll name it. I like to name all of the social media videos that we do, starting with AF for Olivia Fields. It just helps me find it easier in my folders and keep everything organized. So we'll call this What's in My Camera Bag.
it could also stand for like awesome folks.
There you go.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay, and then I'm gonna browse for it, and I'll kind of go over how I keep everything organized here while we're on this.
Loving this. I'm loving this.
Yes, I'm a big fan of organization because there's just so much footage and photos and everything to keep track of.
For sure.
So for all of our projects, we make a new folder, give it a name. Like I said, it's easy for me to see all of our social media videos here. If I have a travel video, I'll start it with travel or whatever it may be. And then I have this folder structure that I use for every single project. I have my After Effects projects if we're doing effects, all my audio, my footage, and then the final products. Cool. So you'll see for What's in My Camera Bag, obviously the Premiere's auto-generated folders. I keep my project file in the main folder. My rendered, we made a thumbnail, so there's a folder for that. And yeah, so we'll just go ahead and, like I said, save this file into our main folder here for this What's in My Camera Bag video. And we'll get started.
Organization is so key, not only for yourself, your future self, but also just if you are sharing files or if someone needs something later on. I mean, it's just do yourself that way.
Absolutely.
To work
Yes.
right.
I feel like the most important thing, at least for me, when it comes to organization, is being very intentional and specific when naming my files, because I so often I'm searching for a specific file. And if I know exactly what I named it, it's so easy to type it in versus just being like, okay, I'm just going to leave the camera image file as the name, but rename it, rename your files.
Rename it, because also that, if you wipe your cards, it's that same name will come up again eventually. I will admit, I got in a really, really big argument with one of my best friends on a documentary trip in Thailand. I was like, you don't need to name the files, just name the folders. And we got into this intense argument about it, and I completely regret my stance. So my public apologies, Sarah, you were right. I was wrong. Lessons learned, though, rename the files.
That's so fun that you were filming a documentary in Thailand. I love Thailand. It's so cool.
It's so cool. It's so beautiful.
I really want to take Zach there someday.
Yeah.
One day.
One day.
One day.
All right, so just jump in what I was doing. So I just dragged these folders like I showed you from Finder. My audio folder has all of our voiceovers that we recorded and then the background track that we selected for this song. And then I grabbed the footage folder, and again, I have this broken down as well. So we have some screen recordings for an ad placement that we have in this video, some photos, the iPhone footage that we shot, which is most of what the video will be. And just going back to file naming, I did not rename all of these individual files, but it would have been so much more helpful if I did, because the iPhone just auto generates these UUID long, confusing names. Yeah. You can't sort them numerically. They're just a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
But that's what we've got for now. And then I've got our footage from the Fuji camera that we shot for the intro and the outro, and then a couple of those little picture-in-picture moments.
Cool.
So that's all of our footage. So,
and I do want to say, Tunk, I think Tunk Budak is got a really good point. Is that bridge is really good for organizing, for doing like batch naming, really. To like
that is how I do everything. Cool. Is in Bridge. Like I import it like into my computer, and it just goes straight to Bridge before it sees any other applications.
First things first.
Yes. So that is a good point.
And I see you've got, are these kind of the things that you use across your projects?
Yeah, so I have another folder on my hard drive called reference files, and exactly, I use these across all of the projects. So we've got just some colors that Olivia likes. They're from her logo, some After Effects templates, which we'll use a bit tomorrow. We're not using any of those today.
Okay.
Olivia's logo, so our like intro, so we'll want that file for sure. And then we have an ending card for the end of the video. We will also want that file.
Okay, cool. And I'm going to blow your mind in a little bit when we get to that part, because we've got a new feature coming out that just came out in beta that I'm really proud of. Like, it's my favorite feature I've ever worked on. And I think y'all are going to like it.
Oh my gosh, sneak peeks.
New features.
Just planting some mystery, building a mystery here.
Amazing. All right, so we've got all of our stuff that we need for now. So let's go ahead and make our new sequence. So we'll go new sequence. And then I don't have any presets saved on this particular machine because this is just a clean one. But usually I'll have my presets made. But if we're going to do manual settings, we'll go ahead and type in all of what we want. We're editing in 24 frames per second, 4K, square, progressive. Everything else looks good to me. And then we can go ahead and save this as a preset too. So if you guys are always using 4K, which I assume you are, 1080p, 720p, whatever it may be, you can make your own presets if there's not already one there that you like. So I'm just going to call this 4K UHD, and we'll just leave it at that. UHD, ultra high definition.
I was just about to
ask,
what does that stand for?
Thank you.
So we've got that. We'll go ahead and name our sequence. I always name my sequence the same as what my project is going to be named. So I'll call it AF, what's in my camera bag, and we'll get started.
Such a mystery. What is in my camera bag?
If you're just joining us, we're here with Olivia and Zach Fields, who are showing us how to make some really beautiful cinematic content for social. They're both intentional travelers, which I want to know more about later.
Yes.
And also documenting and journeying their adventures with just a lot of style. So yeah, we're learning how to make things look gorgeous.
Well, thank you. All right, so we've got our project set up just how we want it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and save it because I'm an avid saver. I save after every step because if something goes wrong and you lose all your work, it's so frustrating to do work twice.
Absolutely.
So you'll see that a lot. It'll say saving project. It's just a nervous twitch of mine, which is very helpful. Okay, so let's start out. We'll kind of go through the footage. We'll cull some of it and then we'll jump in because that's going to be boring for everyone's. But we'll go through a few clips, show you how I cull through the footage, and then hop into a project that's already started. So we'll start with our Fuji footage. So it's going to be a little out of order. Like I said, we shot some footage on this in the field just to kind of show you guys how we use our gear. So this is just a nice little clip. Actually, let me go ahead and change the audio preference here.
Introducing our backyard.
Yeah, well, kind of. So if you guys get annoyed, like I know a lot of people do, by this audio playing when you scrub it, you can go into your audio and turn off that play audio while scrubbing. We'll probably turn it back on later, but for now, while we're culling the footage, we'll just go ahead and turn that off. So you can see lots of random footage. And then I think this part looks good. So I'll go ahead and mark it in or use the keyboard shortcut I. That's my favorite thing, is using keyboard shortcuts. I love them. I use them every time I can.
Yeah, what is it? I and O are the two that we like using here. And what do they stand for? What's that about?
Yeah, I is in, O is out. So you mark the starting point of your video. So I've got that right here. Basically just the part of the footage that I actually want to edit, that I actually care about. So mark the in, mark the out, and then everything else you'll see when we drag this into our timeline. We're going to keep the existing settings. When we drag it into our timeline, it's just that little piece of footage that we picked.
So this is kind of like your first pass is just grabbing like the big chunks that you think you're going to want, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm just going through, what I like to do is go through all my footage first, put it in the timeline, loosely place it in the order that I want it to be in. And then I will actually go ahead and create a new sequence, or I'll duplicate that sequence, and then I'll start cutting. The reason I do that is, you'll see later, is just because if I ever need to go back and reference all of those original files, I've got a sequence there ready for me to go.
You change your mind, or
which happens a lot.
Yeah.
So this was just a fun little pan. So I think I'll start right here where the pan starts. And then we see Olivia holding the camera, filming me, a nice little inception moment, and we'll mark that out.
Me like clutching the monitor in my arm.
Didn't want to set it down in the dirt. Okay, so now we'll look at some other footage. So this is, again, from that back hill shot. So this is our little puppy. His name is Bo, short for Boeing, like the airplane. He's a good dog. So this is all pretty good. So we'll just kind of go ahead and mark it out there.
Oh, what's the puppy's name? Wait a minute.
It's Boeing, like the airplane, or Bo for short.
Precious.
For background context on that, obviously we travel a lot, but I'm also a pilot. So we have a lot of aviation in our blood.
That's cool.
Yes. And also there's an airport in like Seattle, which I'm sure you know, called Boeing Field.
Yes.
And our last name is Fields. So his name is Boeing Fields, which I just thought was funny.
That's awesome.
Our dog is an airport. We really need to take him there.
You really
I know,
do.
we do.
To like get a little picture of Boeing Fields at Boeing Field.
We always fly in, and I don't want to take him on the airplane, so we'll have to plan a road trip up there since it's not too far. All right, so just to kind of go over what I just did, this footage was shot on the monitor that we actually showed you guys in the preview, and it has multiple audio channels that you can record on. So as you can see, if I cancel out of this, I think that it should save. See how it drags in all of these extra audio channels that we don't want at the bottom. So if we go in here, right click it and modify the audio channels, you can say, instead of all these 4 clips coming in individually, we just want one stereo clip. Oops. Just one stereo clip. And for some reason, this monitor records on channels 3 and 4 for us instead of 1 and 2. So we're just going to check those 2 channels. That probably won't come up for most of you, but if you're recording on some sort of device that has multiple channels, that's a really easy, fast way to make this look and edit a lot easier. So as you can see, now that footage is in, and we'll wait to go through those. I want to go through some of this iPhone footage now because we shot the majority of this in one clip on our iPhone. So I just happen to know this is the clip, and I'll just kind of show you guys what we go through. For this one, since there is audio, I'm going to go back in and check this play audio while scrubbing just so that I can hear what I'm doing. So Olivia starts talking somewhere in here.
Wow, this is an iPhone shot too?
Yeah, we were blown away by how good the iPhone shot all of this.
Oh yeah, because you had to take video of the camera.
Of the camera, yeah. I know we're like, we don't have 2 cameras, so.
It looks beautiful.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's usually, I'm very much a gear person, so it's always hard for me to like let go of that control and shoot on an iPhone or shoot on something that's less than what I think we could shoot on. But this was a real learning experience. And honestly, I think we'll be shooting a lot more on iPhone because it's super easy and the footage looks really good.
Yeah, it's like how we were talking about yesterday, Zach, how it's like for some reason almost more like fun to shoot on your phone because it's just like you have it right here. It's quick. You don't have to think about all of the like the setup and all the technicalities. You just like
white balancing and
pick it up, go.
One thing I will say though, going on that is I shot all the footage in Adobe Premiere Rush actually because it does give you manual controls of the video. So we got to set our own white balance and exposure, which is so handy because I mean the iPhone does a great job, like you said. You could totally just like run and gun, but I still like to at least have a little bit of control.
Nice,
so that was very handy. Yes. So for this clip, like I said, we shot it all just one continuous clip so that I didn't shake the little stand that we had the phone on. So I just marked the ins and the out point for the beginning and end of the video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this whole clip in here, and then I'm just going to kind of scrub through it and find just the little pieces that I want and cut out the middle. instead of marking all the ins and outs. So
cool. And we had a question from Mallory. I just want to call out. They asked, does cutting also make the file size smaller rather than just copying over and adding to a new section?
No, it does not. It doesn't take up any less place on the hard drive because you're just telling Premiere that I want to use this section of the video. You're not getting rid of or deleting any parts of the video.
It's like this, what you're working with inside of Premiere is a representation of the footage that you shot, but nothing ever happens to your original media. That will, if it's a 20-minute clip, it'll stay a 20-minute clip. You're just picking and choosing pieces of it.
Yes. All right, so I'm just going to kind of go through, cut a couple more sections, and then we'll jump in. So you can see there's multiple different ways to cull through your footage. You can do mark ins and outs and drag it in, or you can, drag the whole clip in and cut out sections that you don't like in the timeline. It's totally up to the user on what they want to do, which is kind of the cool, fun thing about all of these creative, processes is there's so many different ways to do it and not one of them is right or wrong.
Yeah, the way Zach is doing it right now is how I usually do it. I don't know why. That's just how I learned how to edit and cut videos, was just laying it all out and then just going through it and deleting the little parts that I don't want. I don't know, it's kind of satisfying to me.
Me too. I that's my approach. It's like you've got a machete and you're just
yes.
Oh, Mallory says she means in the finished export. What do you mean, Mallory? Let's see.
I mean, the shorter the video, the final video is, the smaller the file will be. I don't know if that helps answer the question, but I mean, if it's a 10-minute video versus 9 minutes, then yes, the file will be a little bit smaller, 10%, I assume.
Yeah, the final video will be the size of the culmination of all of the clips you end up with. So if you only use 5 seconds from all of that clip, then it'll be a pretty short video. But I guess also it depends too on your export settings as well. What
absolutely
quality level.
Codec. You can make a video file really big if you use the right codec, that's for sure. That's why we have lots of hard drives. Okay, so I've got this clip cut. This is kind of just all of our overhead stuff that we had. And obviously we can see for some reason the iPhone thought we were recording vertically. So it's super easy to fix that. We'll just go up here into Effect Controls and change our rotation to -90. I should have done this before I cut it because then I'll have to go through all of these clips, which is not really very hard. We copy motion, Command-C is that shortcut. And then we select all the clips we want to paste it onto, and then Command-V or Control if you're on a PC. And then that motion, that rotation, position, whatever other data you may have had in there, that all copies over. All right. So that's kind of how I go through and cull my footage. I'm going to go ahead and close this project for now and open up the other project that I've already edited so that we have some more stuff to play with.
I also just want to call out, I'm such a geek about color labels, and I'm really loving how organized and beautiful your color labels are.
Thank you.
I find that to be another really important tool for keeping flow going.
Absolutely.
It's just easy when you can find your stuff.
Yeah, a lot of times, and we actually touched on this, I think, in one of our live streams, maybe not. I love going and you can change the color that each of those little clips is in the timeline. So I'll go and have my B-roll shot different than, my main talking to camera shot and all of that fun stuff, just to kind of make it visually more clear. All right.
So Mallory, I like this. I like we're editing this conversation down to a full product. So Mallory says, if you take a full video but cut it in Premiere Pro, wouldn't that make the file size smaller as opposed to taking the cuts and trimming them but not cutting and deleting them? So yeah, it just depends. If you take a bunch of video clips and you make an 1.5 hour long movie, then and you make it in, Apple ProRes, it's going to be a really big file. It just depends on what your final output is. How, do you have music to it? Did you use what codec do you want to export it to? Meaning, do you want it to be H.265, H.264, a small compressed file, or the actual, you want every pixel in there? That's going to determine the file size.
Absolutely.
All depends on your setting.
A 1 gig video to 50 real quick.
I would say I'm like an H.264 gal, but that's just
Yeah.
me.
Yeah,
For YouTube, that
Yeah.
gets the job done.
for sure. And that what it does is it compresses everything so that it makes it a lighter weight file, so it's easier for streaming, and you kind of retain some of the quality.
Yeah.
And the
All right.
export time is way faster.
Exactly. Yeah.
Definitely. So one more feature that I forgot to touch on that I can see I've already done here. This is actually one of my favorite features that was added to Premiere a few years ago. You used to have a plugin or a third-party software to do it, but you can drag your audio clips into the timeline, and you can see my green down here is the audio. Let me just see which one this is, 05. You can drag your audio down here into the timeline. And then because we record all of our audio externally to a different recorder rather than using the built-in from the camera, just because it's much better quality. You can drag in your clip here of talking, and I think these are the right ones, and just right click on both of the clips and do synchronize. Synchronize the audio. It is literally, it saves so much time. So this is one of my favorite features, because I remember when I was in middle school making videos just with my friends for YouTube, having to match audio was the worst. It was took so long. So that makes it so easy. And then you can see right here.
It just used to take so long.
Yes.
And I don't know if you remember the days when DSLR videos started. You would have to transcode all of
oh my gosh
before you could even start editing it. And that was basically like a real. Don't get me started with like transferring video over.
Oh my gosh, I know it was. Everything is so much easier now. Which
you kids have
amazing.
it so easy these days.
Right. So now we can play this back just so that you guys can see the audio will be all lined up.
Greetings, my friends. My name is Alivia, but you...
Super easy. It works great. I've never had any issues with it.
Cool.
Believe it or not. Like, it's one of the few things that it works perfectly. You can see there's a little microphone on Alivia right here. So that's what this audio is
hidden very
more of like a fashion statement.
Yeah,
I would say.
So we can
like
see here, I've got all my footage culled through now, all the audio matched up for all of my different clips, all of the overhead shots aligned how I want them. And again, you can kind of see how I organize everything. So this beginning here was the talking to camera footage. Then we've got just like a B-roll shot, then all of our top down images here, all of the B-roll, which we didn't go through these clips, but just of me using the gear, and then all of the stuff that we shot on our back hill. Again, showing how we use the gear. I just really like to keep everything organized like that. And then we'll touch on these clips too. These are the picture-in-picture, so you can see they're stacked on top of each other here. I just went ahead and lined these up beforehand so that the ins and outs are matched up, so that when we go and edit, it's just a little bit easier for us.
So you've got everything nicely grouped, and you can start sort of
Yeah,
puzzle piecing everything together. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, well then let's go ahead and jump into it. Pretty easy. We'll start off. I'm just going to select all the footage and drag it to the right a little bit so we have some room to work here at the beginning. I know that I'm going to want to start with the title. So this logo animation. We'll drop that in. Again, I have this first track muted here because I don't want to hear any of the audio from the cameras or whatever other source that may be. I only want to listen to my music and the audio that we recorded externally.
Me too,
so
just music.
Right. So we'll drag in this clip. This is a little logo animation that I made in After Effects. Very fun. I always love when a video like lets me be in After Effects. So tomorrow will be very fun.
Me too.
Okay, so we'll do that. And then we'll go ahead and pick our soundtrack. We kind of picked a more basic, like chill song for this one. So we'll just kind of listen through it here. It's pretty chill, just like a nice like vibe behind everything else going on. So we'll go ahead and drag that in, and you can see I've got a marker here. So this marker is marking the first beat of the song. So I just know that this minute, the video is going to be longer than 1:45 that this song is. So we'll go ahead and just kind of duplicate this all out a little bit. So I'm going to hold down Option and click and drag, and that duplicates the audio track. You could also copy paste, tons of different options. I like holding down the Option key. I just find that the easiest.
Yeah.
And if I might add in, just in case anyone is curious, I have a like a subscription to a website called musicbed.com. And with that subscription, it gives me the ability to have like unlimited downloads of songs. It gives you an unlimited download to license songs. So I don't have to pay for like a new song each time. I just like have a monthly subscription and it's unlimited. And the songs on MusicBed are so good. There's even like artists on there that like are artists that like, you know, like people like know of. And I'm like, wait, I know this song.
That's
and it's so cool that you can just like download it and use it. They aren't royalty free for a very like specific reason, but it doesn't like dock you on YouTube or anything. Like you can dispute any like copyright claims. So
it's not just Creative Commons license. It's like an actual
it's like an actual license.
Commercial work as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and with each download, like you can also download like a little PDF that shows like your rights and like the license you have to use it. So it's really great. Just if you are wanting to try it, you can get like a 30-day like free trial before you like decide to sign up for a subscription. But
this is a big one for me. Can you save and favorite like as you
Yes,
that's my favorite
so
thing.
You can create like you can just save things like, oh, add this to favorites, or you can create your own playlist within the MusicBed site. So I have like calm songs, like folksy songs. Like if we're going on a trip, we'll have like Hawaii songs, like Europe songs. So we kind of can go back and reference, just like kind of see what vibe you're flowing with. And you can search by like instrument, by genre, just like keywords. It's super awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, but there's a lot of places to find really cool jams. It's always nice to hear new ones.
It's so hard.
It's such a long process to find the right song.
Yes, I have
a lot of the feel.
Absolutely. Every video is different.
Yeah. If you want the like 30-day free trial, I have the link to that like in the description of all of my YouTube videos. So if you just go on my website and then just scroll down, or not my website, my YouTube channel, scroll down on any video, it's in the description, and that's how you can get the 30 days for free.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna put a link to that in the chat pod.
Thank you. It's just youtube.com/Alivia Fields.
Easy peasy. Cool.
Okay, so let's kind of listen through to this. I basically just went ahead and duplicated this track at the point where I think it's going to sound good for the transition. Let's listen.
I really like the song.
Yeah, so it's just a nice kind of background, like smooth, chill vibe. So I've just gone ahead and duplicated this out a bunch of times because I know the video is going to be about 10 minutes. So there you go. That's just kind of a quick way on how I do my audio, just kind of finding a nice beat and making sure that you're cutting everything on the beat, and then you can loop it pretty easy. Sometimes you need a little crossfade on the audio, but with a song like this where it's pretty heavy, like beat driven, actually just a clean cut worked great. So now we'll go ahead and listen through to just this beginning part and see where we want to cut the logo out and start editing Alivia talking. So actually it was already pretty darn close, I would say. So let's go ahead and drag this beginning intro talking part that we've got here and see how this sounds.
Greetings, my friends. My name is Alivia, but you probably already knew that because you clicked on my video. I am doing a what's in my camera bag video today because I haven't done one.
So just a quick note on what I did there. We'll go through audio in a later section on how I mix the audio and actually use a lot of really cool essential sound items in Premiere Pro. But for now, we're just going to listen to it and cut it through, and then we'll deal with the audio on the later part of the video. So this just solos it. This mutes a track in case anyone didn't know. So I'm only listening to this track right now.
These in so long, and I don't have any of the same stuff in my camera bag as I had before. All that stuff. So I'm going to walk you guys through what specific products I use, and then talk a little bit about how I use each of them and implement them into my daily career as a content creator.
So I'm going to stop that one right there. And the way I like to cut these, especially when it's Olivia talking and like really driven by her rather than a travel style video, is I'll go through and I'll do a really rough cut. So I won't cut out any of the dead space, any of, those more meticulous things. I'll just go through, place everything in the order I want it, and then I'll give it over to Olivia, which we're going to do today in a little bit. And she'll go through and kind of cut out the parts of talking she doesn't like, whatever she, maybe said that she wasn't like a fan of the phrasing on, that kind of stuff. She'll cut it down and then she'll send it back to me and I'll put in the B-roll, color it, do the audio, all that fun stuff. So we'll just cut together a few more clips here just so you can kind of see the process. And then once we've got that rough cut, we'll give it over to Olivia.
Yeah, and if you're just joining us, welcome. We're here with Alivia and Zach Fields, learning how to make some cinematic social content. In particular, this really awesome video about all of the awesome creative tools that you guys use to make your look, which fit in your metaphorical creative bag, as we've learned.
Yes.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about that, Olivia. Like, you mentioned that when you first started, your toolkit was much smaller, and I'm always curious about how creatives, how your journey takes you into a place where suddenly you are using more advanced tools, or you start building up your arsenal. How did that happen? What was that journey like for you?
Yeah, well, I have been a photographer for about 6 years. And for a while, that was just like my main thing. Like I just had my camera and like my favorite lens and just like went with it. Just that was kind of it. And then this year specifically, I feel like Zach and I have really started to explore video a lot more. Like it's something that I would do, but I would always like outsource it. So I would hire like a videographer, I'd hire someone to edit. And then this year we were just like, well, we're at home a lot. Like Zach's working from home a ton. So like we do have a lot more time that we're together now. And we've invested in quite a lot of like little gadgets and gimbals this year and have decided to like take on all of our video projects ourselves, which has been exciting, I think, for Zach because he really enjoys it. And I've learned a little bit as well because I'm not like as proficient in video since photo is my main thing. Like I am in Bridge, I'm in Lightroom Mobile, like all day, every day. And at the beginning of this year, Zach was like, you're going to learn Premiere. Like, because I didn't edit on Premiere. I edited my videos in lesser platforms because that's just what I was used to, like as a kid. I've always like edited my own YouTube videos, but I got so like meticulous in the way that I did things and like, I didn't want to switch and Premiere just looked so scary, but it's been like almost a whole year now. We're almost at the end of the year of me like only using Premiere, and I'm definitely not anywhere near as proficient as Zach, but I've definitely learned a lot. And something that has actually been really helpful to me in learning how to use Premiere and like taking that next step is for all of those like keyboard shortcuts, the things that Zach was talking about, you can change them to be whatever keys you want. It doesn't have to be what Premiere says. And since I was editing in other like video editing applications before, it was like a muscle memory. I knew exactly what to click. And so I changed all of the keyboard shortcuts. So I am still using the same like muscle memory, but I'm doing it in a different application. And that helped so much and like made my workflow so much quicker than me being like, okay, which button does which thing now?
You don't need to tackle that hurdle again, right? Like
no,
there's no reason to, so you can get to the business of learning the things that are specific to this app and feel, a little comfortable, have a little bridge from where you were before.
Absolutely.
I really love that keyboard shortcut editor for sure.
Yeah, that was super helpful. And yeah, we've just kind of kept like building upon our little, like, we kept like renting gear and seeing if we liked it and then being like, okay, maybe we should buy it. Like we've tried it out for a weekend or two, like let's go for it. And some things just like have really up leveled like the content that we've been able to produce. And yeah, it's been super fun. I'm excited to see what the future holds now that I feel like in my like business, I feel like I'm almost like at the level where I can like really pitch like video to clients just as much as I can pitch photo.
That's awesome.
Which is super exciting.
And that's what like
my own little production studio.
Yeah. And that's like, you know, like a year's time of investment in learning.
Yeah.
And I think that's just such a good testament to, you know, there really is no limits to what you can then begin to offer your clients or do for your work when you take some time to invest in your own learning and just stay curious, right?
Yes. And I think for anyone that's more like on the entrepreneurial like business path and you are trying to like start your own business or start to like get client work, you really do like get hired for like what you're putting out into the like internet space. And so as we've started to, you know, upgrade and like get some like really powerful video tools and start pushing out content that's created with those, like we've totally seen the return from that of clients being like, hey, like
I want
this
that.
is good. Like let's actually do like not just like a photo package, but yeah, like let's add on like a 30-second video or a 1-minute video. And it's just cool that like if you do take the time and the funds to invest into your business, like you will see the return.
But you made a really good point. You can rent gear for not that much. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of places that you can get a really cool camera for a week and it's not the worst or light, you know, just to try things before you commit.
Yeah, we have a really neat local like camera production like store here in Portland. And if you rent a piece of gear and then you purchase it within like, not the actual one that you're renting, but you purchase the same product within like 7 days or so, they'll actually give you that rental price off of your purchase. So if you're planning on purchasing it, like you're basically just getting a percentage off and getting it a few days early. So I don't know if other places might have that option as well, but it can always be something to look into, like if you're purchasing from that store. Yeah. And it's always great to shop local too.
Absolutely. And to your point about what clients are looking for, I think everybody is looking for a look and feel that is consistent across so many channels. I think that's something that comes up a lot in what we're trying to skill share and what people really want. And so as an entrepreneur, if you're able to offer the photography and the video and just get this complete look, I mean,
definitely.
I
think I was doing an interview recently and I was asked like, what do you think is the most important thing like for an entrepreneur starting business? And I was just like, if you can like hone in on your look and stick with it and run with it, it's so beneficial to be like known and recognized for a look.
Yeah, and I was checking out your Instagram. Have a look, and it's beautiful. Punk was asking if you guys use pre-made preset color and transition presets, but you make your LUTs, right? Am I
correct? Yeah, and we'll talk quite a bit about coloring today. I have a pretty big section I think set out for that. So yeah, we make all of our own looks. We use LUT for video particularly that translates our F-log, which we'll talk about from the camera, and that translates that into Rec 709, and then we can use some fun stuff from Lightroom, from Olivia's editing style, and make that look really good with this Lumetri plugin.
And what is a LUT? Just for those.
Yeah, a LUT stands for lookup table. So it basically takes, for instance, like I said, we shoot an F-log, which is a color profile off the camera that's a lot more flat and looks honestly like really ugly out of the camera, but it gives just a lot more like color detail and information from the video.
Similar to like a raw photo versus a JPEG photo.
Yeah.
If you guys are photographers.
And then you put that LUT onto it and it makes it look like a normal video. You can also use LUTs to like color, that are stylized. So they'll take the regular video and they'll basically apply like a preset to it, sort of like a Lightroom preset almost.
Yeah, and Premiere comes with a bunch of them, especially with the Lumetri I say Lumetri. I heard you said Lumetri.
You would know better than I would. So
no, everybody says it different, but why did I say Lumetri? Why did I just change teams all of a sudden? It comes with a lot of presets in it already that you can use to make your footage look really beautiful.
Oh yeah, I absolutely love this. I used to use, again, another third-party plugin, but Adobe's really added a ton of plugins that have made it so much easier. You don't have to go buy hundreds of dollars worth of plugins to make your videos look good. It's been really nice every update to see all the new stuff coming out.
Well, thank you. No,
of course.
It was all you.
Yeah.
So right, checking in with Zach, where are we at now? Zach,
yeah.
You've been cooking over here.
Yeah, so I've just kind of got everything pretty much like rough cut in how we want it. I added some Ken Burns style effects because this was a little bit boring when it was just, a flat shot of these. So just a real quick look into how I did that. We can keyframe up here, very similar if any of you know how to use After Effects. Very similar, almost the exact same user interface. You just set your keyframe here and pick your first, position. So I kind of was like, okay, we'll start in the bottom left for this one. And then, set that spot where I want it. Then we'll jump to the end of the clip. And we'll make sure that it's in the top right here. So basically a keyframe says I want to move from this position to this position. So again, we moved the clip up here to like the top right of it. And yeah, then we'll watch it back and you can see it kind of does this nice like pan when it was really just a static shot.
Almost like Adobe Rush's pan and zoom feature, which
just came out.
I know, I was looking for that in Premiere Pro and I was like, oh man, I have to do this manually this time. So yeah, it's a very handy feature. But yeah, so now we've got our rough cut together. We're kind of just going through all the gear that's in our bag, camera, lenses, monitor. What else do we have? We have our Ronin, which is a stabilizer, an L bracket for shooting vertical video, which we'll show you a little bit more later, microphones, and our SD card case. Of course, we have a lot more in our camera bag, but these are the main things. So with that, I think we're gonna jump on over to Olivia's screen and she's gonna go ahead and cut this down a little bit more and get it to that more polished, finalized piece. And she's also gonna cut in our little ad that we have to do in this video.
Alrighty. One moment. There we go, Premiere. Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Amazing. Welcome to my screen. This is a bit exciting for me, a little nerve-wracking. Like I said, Premiere and video editing is more of Zach's thing. I'm more of the photo gal, but this is my first time publicly showing you guys how I edit videos.
You've got this. You do it all the time at home.
Thank you for modeling, being an adventurous demo app user.
Yes, this is really a learning experience here. So as Zach was saying, so he sets everything up. He does all of his beautiful organizing. He gets all the audio pretty and he gets everything perfect. And then he hands it off to me. And this is where I get to like, really, I feel like make my own like brand and my own voice shine, because I mean, Zach could cut this, but he's not in my head. He doesn't know like the comedic timing of how I said something or why I had a pause or like stuff like that. So this is where I kind of get to come in and really fine tune like what I want myself to look like.
You're like, I get final say. Okay.
Exactly. Yes. I have the final say.
I like that.
So I'm going to scroll through all of Zach's footage here and find the part I want to edit first. Okay. So this video that we made is actually a like sponsored ad for Squarespace, which is my website. It's where like my photography portfolio is. And that's super exciting because our YouTube channel is still small. It's growing. So it's cool that we've started to get little like sponsors for our videos, and especially one that's like so integrated and like easy to put in, because
Squarespace is a big deal.
Yeah, everyone has a website, and It's super fun. If you guys want 10% off your first website, Alivia Fields, squarespace.com is Olivia Fields, but it's fine. It's fine.
Olivia
Anyways.
Fields hooking it up.
So I'm just going to edit this little ad first that I have to put into the video. And we took some screen recordings since that's a requirement for my little piece. So we got screen recordings, and then this is just like B-roll footage that I wanted for the ad. And this is actually shot on iPhone as well. We thought we'd keep it consistent and just shoot everything on iPhone, and then my like voiceover for the ad. So let's put it all together. Guys, I'm nervous. You're all watching me edit.
Don't worry.
Doing great.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Thank you. Okay, let's listen to me sound like a radio ad.
This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Something that I love about Squarespace is that it not only acts as my online portfolio for—
Oh, is it not coming through?
Maybe it's coming through your headphones. No?
Maybe.
You can? Oh, my bad.
If you guys can't hear the audio, that's okay. It's
You can just narrate it for us, Olivia.
Yeah. We'll start from the beginning.
This video
is sponsored by Squarespace.
portfolio for projects I upload to the
this is
site,
me.
but because of their social media account
What do you guys
integration,
use to
I can
record
display
your
my
audio? I
day-to-day
saw those little
Instagram photos just moments
Sennheisers.
after
What?
Yeah.
posting.
What is that?
So those are just wireless packs. We were actually using the microphone to record that. So we were like, well, this is close enough. So yeah, those are just our little wireless packs. And we just have a little Sennheiser lav that we use. And we record everything usually to H4n, just kind of as the intermediary onto our SD card.
Cool.
So nothing too crazy for audio, but
Yeah, that
little
Zoom
better.
H4n is nice though.
oh, it's a powerhouse. Yeah.
It does everything.
Yeah,
The
I feel
last
like-
time I used the wireless Sennheisers, the wireless packs were like this big, guys.
Oh yeah. Well, I think most of them still are. I've never seen something this small until, I don't know. We bought these like a few months ago, and it's like,
They
that's
look
nice.
They look cool.
Yeah.
Squarespace.com/Olivia Fields for 10% off of your first website,
This
or
is me using my custom keyboard shortcuts
personal
so I
domain.
can quickly
I'm so
zoom
excited to-
through this, because I think the typical keyboard shortcuts are like C for cut and then V for select.
Mm-hmm.
But
Are
that
you
just-
are you an A and
I'm an A and B. I'm
A
an
and
A and B.
I'm an A and B too.
Really? Okay. Yeah,
That's so
I
funny.
use B for cutting and A for selecting. Literally don't know why I use A. That doesn't even make any sense, but that's just where
It's our old habits.
yeah, it's the
Mhm.
old
We don't, need
habits.
to, we don't need to talk about it, but
No.
we know
But I'm glad that it's not just me.
not just you.
Yes. So right now I'm just kind of like piecing the stuff together now that I want for the ad, intermixing the screen recordings with the B-roll. I can't believe we shot this on iPhone. I feel like it's like a scam. Like
I love
so
keeping things
easy.
lighthearted and personal on my website, and this tool is one of my
Shot on
favorite
iPhone
ways to
6.
do that.
Only that was
There's a
long
few
time ago, so I guess it's.
Yes.
I can never get that out of my head though, forever.
So funny. It would be crazy seeing the comparison side by side today. I'm sure it's just night and day from the 6 to the 12.
It really is remarkable how much quickly things have advanced from even
absolutely.
just 5 years ago.
Also, when I'm editing, instead of like cutting, I just sometimes will just
Trim.
drag. Yeah, just like drag and trim it. I feel like that's also why I like having everything laid out, just because you can just like trim the ends off super easily.
Yep, I'm definitely a trimmer. And I like the keyboard shortcut that lets you trim in just one frame at a time. Like sometimes you're trying to get that timing just right, like get the get the shot to happen right when the action's going on, and it's nice to play in that way too. What is it? The comma and the period, I think.
I'm not
Those might be
something
my,
like that. Yeah.
my old shortcuts that we don't want to talk about.
That's just so funny that you said that. Okay, I think I'm almost done just kind of like intermixing this stuff here for my little ad.
All right. How are y'all doing out there in the chat? saying hello again.
Silence.
Why can't we hear the chat?
Why can't I hear the people in the chat?
Okay, so Zach, we were thinking of having the ad go right after the talking stuff before all of this. Okay, so do I have permission to drag all of
go
this
for it.
over? Should I be dragging
the audio
as well?
down. Yeah.
Wait, that's too much because I don't want to drag the other one, right?
Yeah, just the top audio channel.
Amazing. So just this?
The first green one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm learning.
Yeah.
And then just drag that out.
Okay.
You can put it
now
in.
I have this nice space to put my ad.
Cool.
So now we're dragging it back.
We're dragging and dragging.
Okay. So I want to put it on this level
that's
or
fine.
this one.
Doesn't matter.
But we want that audio track, not to
Yeah.
play music. So maybe
Why is it
down to
doing that,
V1?
Zach? Do you see how the audio is going to do that?
Yeah, so keep going. Now put your mouse, keep going, move your mouse down.
Down.
Yep, keep going.
Okay.
There you go.
There we go.
Oh, too far.
Oh,
Well, that works too. It doesn't matter. Either one of those.
Okay,
Sure. And then let go.
I'm
There you
letting go.
Ooh.
Okay.
I feel like we just landed the Lumetri.
Right.
Landed on the. We got it.
Okay, so now I can come and add all this stuff back
Yeah.
in.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, we can slide that all back over.
Alrighty.
You can also do a ripple, right? Little
no.
because it's not on the same track.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
I know,
my
that's usually my
favorite thing to
go-to.
do.
I love a ripple delete.
Mhm.
Yes, if you guys don't know what that is, basically if there's like some loose space like right here, if everything's kind of all lined up and on the same track, you can just click this little like empty space and then click the delete like key on your keyboard and it just like moves everything together. It's so satisfying, but sometimes you just have to do it the manual way. So I'm gonna see how this flows and turned out.
And I'm sure I'm gonna find out for tomorrow. I'm taking some notes here. I live
This
in
video
After
is
Effects more than
sponsored by
anything.
Squarespace.
But
Something that I
there's
love about
always, there's always
Squarespace is that it
35
not
ways to
only
do
acts
everything
as
in
my
Adobe.
online
Like, I
portfolio
didn't know.
for
So
projects I
I'm gonna
upload.
find out if there's a way to do a ripple delete-ish thing when you're not everything's on the same track.
Amazing.
If you find that
For
out,
tomorrow.
That'd be a game
please
changer.
find
for
out.
us.
yes,
Find
please
out.
let us know. Okay, let's make sure this part. Right. I can hear both the like audio and people talking. Zach, can you hear it?
Mm-mm.
Interesting. It's just me. Just me. It's okay. You guys don't have to even hear my ad.
I've heard it a million times in edit, so I've got it in my brain.
Okay. Well, at
Cool.
least for me, everything flows together now, and this feels
Sweet.
good. Should I add in any text, Zach, or do you want to
No,
do that later?
We'll do the text at the very end. We'll do
Okay.
it all. But
Well,
just
I'm
add
gonna
in
do my color matting now because that's very exciting for me.
Yeah.
So I love just adding like anything that I can add to videos to like further like make it more on brand and like flow with an aesthetic. I'm all about it. So just like a stylistic thing I like to do with videos is you can see there's like a little like black border around here, and I just kind of like scale the video down a little bit so I can add in like just a fun color in the background, something that just like flows with my aesthetic, makes it looks cool. And Zach actually just taught me how to do this this morning. So we're going to go to file, right?
Yep.
File, and then new,
Mm-hmm.
and
then all the way at the bottom.
then all the way at the bottom, color matte. Okay.
And what's a color map?
A color matte is a color, like a color block, like just a little,
Like a solid.
yeah, just like a nice solid color, like a little background that you can use. I can keep all of these
Yes.
settings,
Mhm.
correct? Okay, I didn't think so. And this is just my favorite part. I get to pick a color, and that's just so exciting for me because I love just keeping things flowing with like a nice aesthetic. I love having a nice warm tone, and since this is an ad, like I want it to feel cozy. I want it to feel familiar. I don't want it to just seem like out of place and a little awkward. So I'm gonna pick a fun, like warm toned color.
it's got to look like it's part of the rest of the video.
Yeah,
so
I
it's
have to
organic
make it
and it
flow.
doesn't big,
Yes.
you know, oh my God, now we're in a commercial. Like it maybe
Yes.
feels a little bit more like
So let's put
personable,
this,
right?
like, caramel color. We'll call it caramel color. And now you can see it's saved up here. And then I can just take it and drag it. Do I drag it underneath the video, Zach?
Yeah.
Or above it?
Underneath.
And I don't think it'll let me put it underneath the
Yeah, you
video.
got to move the video up.
Oh, see you guys? So I have to move my video.
You're on track one
up.
there.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can come move my color underneath the video. I'm going to drag it so it goes throughout the whole video. And look at that. It's looking personal,
Beautiful.
looking more colorful. And that is how I edit my portion of the video. And I'm not going to bore you guys with going through all of this and cutting out all of my ands and buts and ums. But that's how I do it. Thank you for coming to my brief premiere TED Talk.
TED Talk.
Back to you, Zach.
Good job. Awesome job, Olivia. You're
Trust me,
doing so
guys.
great.
Tomorrow on Adobe Rush, like I'll show you guys all the things.
You know Rush way better than I do.
Yeah,
so.
I know my way around Rush.
Cool. I'm excited for that.
Not just the influencer, the social media content creator in me.
Yeah, do you get so like that's a good question I guess that I'm always curious about is like what how many how do you define the projects that you know you want to bring in a premiere because you have a lot of sweet things you need to do to them that you can't, and what's the kind of content that you save that Rush is like a perfectly great tool for and you don't have to?
Yeah. So pretty much if I'm doing something for YouTube, it's going to be, you know, horizontal, like landscape. I want it to be like really cinematic. Usually that's when we'll bring out the camera and the slider and the Ronin and like really like make it like a beautiful creation. Or if it's like a client video and I know like, you know, they want something for their website or something like that. That's when we'll, you know, keep things on Premiere and keep with the camera. However, if I'm making a video for social media, something that I found is that people really respond well to just really simple content that they feel like they could make themselves as well. If I'm like putting these beautiful cinematic videos up on like Instagram or something, I feel like people are like, wow, that's pretty, but they feel like they don't have the like tools or resources to make that. And so what's really cool about Rush is one, it's free. Anyone can download it from the App Store and, you know, everyone's got a phone with a camera. And so if I'm going to make something for social that's like vertical video, I think Premiere Rush is super helpful for that. And it just makes things quick, keeps it like concise. It's really easy to edit like on the go on my phone. And also, which is something we'll go into tomorrow, is you can actually edit a project on Rush and then open Premiere on your Premiere Pro on your computer and import, like take that entire Rush file and make a Premiere project file out of it, which is super cool. So if Zach and I are making like a shorter version of a video for social and then a longer version for YouTube, we can like use the same project and it's great.
That's amazing.
That's my Rush shout out for today.
That's awesome. I mean,
or
that's
tomorrow.
a workload too. It's like if you do want to elevate something,
Yeah.
you can just, you know, it's like I need more things to do than what Rush can do or what I need to do on my iPad, or I want to sketch this out too. I like that concept of it too. It's like doing your rough draft in Rush and then bringing it into Premiere to tweak and finalize. That's cool. I'm excited for tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, me too.
All right, so back here in Premiere Pro, I got the project from Alivia. You can see this little ad spot that she cut here, all put together real nice. And then this timeline as well has all those little ands and pauses and bad takes cut out, just because that's boring to go through and takes a long time.
I did that last night, so I would not bore you guys.
Yes. So now what I'm doing is I'm cutting in the B-roll. So I kind of went over here and looked for some of the stuff that we had shot in our backyard, and I dragged it in above all of our footage here. As you can see, all of these clips are our B-roll clips, and now I'm just going to kind of make them look nice. So I'm actually going to drag these up one more layer because I want to reuse that map that Alivia just made, just to kind of differentiate our B-roll from the regular footage. So I'll come up to my project file, grab that color mat and just drag it right below.
Actually called caramel color. That's what I've decided. So.
All right, and then I'm just gonna scale these down to probably about 85%. Just again, give it a nice little border, differentiate it a little bit, and then let's just listen through.
See what you're shooting a bit better, and also you can preload your LUTs onto this, so when we're recording we can see.
All right, again, I'm kind of just cutting like to the beat of the song subtly in the background.
See kind of how our shot's going to look after it's already colored, which is really helpful.
Drag that. Just got a few
Helpful.
shots
This
here.
also records to this solid.
Mute these
I feel like the
tracks.
monitor is so cool that it shows like
drive.
you
So
can put
instead of
on the
recording
monitor.
to the SD card in the
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's got to be so helpful to be able to see what it will look like, más o menos, in the end, and just to bring your creativity while you're actually filming it, especially to get the lighting settings right and everything, you know.
Yeah.
That's definitely a struggle for us when we don't shoot with the monitor, because like I said, we shoot in F-Log, so everything is so flat on the camera like screen that we can hardly tell like what it's going to look like in the end. Is it exposed right? Is it you know, the right white balance? It's just such a flat image. As you can see here, this is what it looks like. Very flat. You can't really tell what the exposure looks like, versus here on this like side by side on the monitor, you can see straight from the camera versus with our LUT on it.
And the reason that I've learned through the years, the reason you shoot this way is so that you can get as much light information into the front in each pixel. So you want flat because you got a lot of shadows and highlights, and then you can move it in any direction you want in post.
That is definitely a big benefit. I've noticed even just shooting an F-Log on the camera versus on the monitor, the amount of information you can save from an overexposed or underexposed shot it's night and day compared to if you would shoot with just like the regular color profile.
So Julio, I've got a couple questions for you guys. I think Katun, apologies if I'm not saying that correctly, wants to know what picture profile the interview was shot with, and I think maybe like what settings is maybe what they're asking.
Yeah, the interview as well was shot in the F-Log, which is Fuji's flat color profile. So you can see it's pretty boring right now. In the next segment, we'll put the LUT on it and we'll really bring it to life. But yeah, that's what this was shot in. Obviously, the iPhone
colorless.
the iPhone doesn't have that capability, so this is all just straight out of Premiere Rush. So again, we'll kind of talk about how we balance those shots together, because it's not the easiest making them look the same.
Which today I learned, I'm really excited about, that you can shoot video through Rush. And if you do that, you have a lot more settings to control your exposure and your white balance. And that's rad.
It is fantastic.
Then Julio, are you guys working in the same project in the cloud, or is this the Magic Cooking Show situation?
It's the Magic Cooking Show situation. There is an option to work on a team project. I've never done that personally, but it seems like a very handy feature. But yeah, this is the cooking show sort of deal. You can see all my sequences here for all the different steps along the way.
Yeah, and Julio, Team Projects is now available to all Adobe Creative Cloud subscribers, so you can work remotely with other people and set up projects that you both work on, and you can push your changes up or sync to their changes, and it has version control and stuff.
Which is very, very helpful.
Amazing.
Yeah, just like with Adobe Rush as well, how you can like sync it to the cloud and then access it like on Adobe Rush on your desktop or push that over to Premiere. I think that's super cool.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Glad.
But yeah, we both just have the same project file right now.
Right.
I won't.
All right. So this is just kind of this little chunk of B-roll here. So I'll talk through it and then we'll jump into coloring. So as you can see, I took this color mat here that we were using for the ad placement. It's a little different color than the one Alivia made, but you know, it is what it is. We can change it later. And then I sized down this video to 85% in the effects controls under scale. And then same deal here. I actually made the hero, the main video, 75%. And then this little kind of output from the camera here, I made it 35% and kind of just moved it over to give a cool little picture-in-picture look. And then same deal here. 75% I copied exactly the same so that they are in the same spot between the two clips. And then this one was vertical. So we shot this vertical. You can kind of see here the L bracket on the camera. And then I took that footage straight from the camera and put it on the right side here. All right.
Oh, cool. I was wondering, yeah, earlier when you guys first started showing us the B-roll and I saw it in vertical, you know, again, old school heart. I was like, why did they shoot this in vertical for B-roll for this? And now I see it works
Now
great.
you know. Yeah, we've definitely had to learn how to deal with vertical video, which I made some really fun After Effects templates. Again, we'll go through those tomorrow for all the iPhone stuff that we shot. And it's very interesting to integrate a 9:16 into a 16:9 frame because there's a heck of a lot of real estate difference, but
Absolutely.
it's fun. You get to be creative and
Yeah. Have you guys checked out the auto reframe?
we use that in Rush all the time.
Yeah, that helps a lot because if we are working on the same project and I'm making like a smaller or like a shorter social clip and then Zach is making a longer video, we don't want to shoot the same thing twice, once horizontally, once vertically. So we typically will shoot everything horizontally. And then once I put it in Rush, I will use auto reframe to make it vertical. And it works pretty well for me. I don't lose like too much like quality. It would definitely lose more quality if I shot it the other way around. Yeah. But yeah, that's a little hack. Just shoot it all horizontally. Auto reframe will save the day.
For sure.
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on here. You can see there's a lot more B-roll cut in this next phase of the project. So again, you can see you got the 85% here, and I've got the matte underneath all of our B-roll shots. So it looks a little hectic, but it's really not. Again, you can arrange these layers however you want. If you prefer to have, you know, all your video on one layer, you can drag it down and cut it out. But I like layering everything on top of each other. Just personal preference. I like how it looks.
And the way the layers work, I don't, you know, if you guys have used After Effects or Photoshop, you know, so whatever's on the bottom is what's in the back. And then you stack on top of that. So that if you want something, you know, that color matte needed to go on the bottom because if you put it on the top, then that's all you're going to see. So it's one way to think those tracks.
Yeah, like a front to back sort of situation.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. All right, so let's look at this B-roll that we just cut in here, these clips. And you can see, obviously, the colors are all very different from each other. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of the B-roll clips, and I'm actually going to move them up even one more layer because we're going to use an adjustment layer to change the color of all of these, since all of them are the same and there's no point in doing a different edit on every single clip. So we'll go here to File, New, Adjustment Layer. It picks your sequence settings already. We'll go ahead and drag that in. So we'll start it on top of the very first iPhone clip, and then we'll run it all the way out here till the end. So what this adjustment layer is going to do is it's going to color these background videos, and then we will match everything else to that. So we'll go into our effects, presets. We've got a preset already for Olivia's color profile.
Did you just bring that in from Lightroom? Whatever you...
Actually, we made all of this in Lumetri. So everything is done here. We tried doing LUTs and they work well, but there's just so much different between the photos and videos that I was like, let's just try and remake it in Premiere Pro and then see how it works. And I actually love it a lot.
Which is so easy.
It's very similar to Lightroom, how everything's laid out, except the HSL is a little different, but I personally think it's a little nicer in Premiere.
Yeah, can you walk me through this UI just for those users out there that aren't as familiar with this effect?
Yeah, so in Lumetri, again, I started with a preset, but we can just start from the beginning and I'll kind of show you how I would build this. So you have all your different tabs, very similar to Lightroom if anybody is familiar. So your basic correction, your white balance, your tint, all the exposure settings, contrast, you know, all that,
pretty
saturation.
much looks just like Lightroom. which is really exciting because for those like me who are more like on the photo side of things and video is a bit more intimidating, this makes coloring like you just like can understand it so much better with this like interface, and it's definitely easy to like achieve the same look as I would in my photos in video by just really just going through the same tools.
That's awesome. And one of the things I love about Lumetri is that it guides you. The order matters. So the way that the controls are set up, if you start at the top and you start adjusting those things, you want to take care of your exposure and your contrast before you start doing a lot of the creative color stuff. And so, let it guide you, because it's definitely intentional and will help.
Absolutely. All right, so yeah, let's just kind of go through and I'll show you guys how I use this. So again, like you said, we'll start at the top. The white balance looks pretty good. It might be maybe a little green for my taste, so we'll tint it a little bit more towards the pink, but everything else looks pretty good. It might be a little underexposed, so let's go ahead and bring our exposure up. Again, you can see I hard type the value because I like everything to be in round numbers, but there's no reason to do that. You can use the sliders just the same. I'm
a scrubber. I like scrubbing the hot text. That's
Yeah, and there's that works absolutely just as well. I'll usually get it close. Like I'll use the sliders and I'll be like, oh, I want that to be 10.
Yeah,
just because I like round numbers. I don't know.
I think you can use math in these too. So if you're like, I want to bump it up, you can do +5. That might be just After Effects, but I think that's an Adobe thing.
Let's see.
Yeah, because you can do that in Lightroom as well.
I think it's an After Effects thing.
You can do it.
I lied. I'm sorry. Forget it.
After Effects is like this on steroids.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, that looks pretty close for now, just so you guys can kind of see those controls. Then we'll hop down here to creative.
Maybe like a little bit warmer. Like a teeny tiny bit. Not that warm.
It's blazing.
It's like a little bit.
Surface of the sun. All right, so we warmed it up a little bit, and now we'll come down here and we'll give it a little bit of faded film look. That's definitely a little bit of Olivia's style. I always like to put a little bit of sharpening on the video, just make it a little bit cleaner. And then I'm not going to do it this time, but you can tint the shadows and the highlights. So if you want that more orange look, you can kind of like Olivia's Instagram, if you've seen
kind of like that vintage look, like almost like it's vintage.
Yeah. You can go in there and you can tint this to whatever you want, as crazy as you want. You can make it purple. I wouldn't recommend that, but
live your life though. Live your life.
There are times where that could be cool. And then you can double click to reset it. Is a little hack there. Curves is probably where I would say I spend the most time. As you saw in that preset, they were all over the place. So you can go ahead and click on this to add points. You can add as many points as you want, as little points as you want. It doesn't really matter. I usually go through and add one for each color that I see. So like red, orange, yellow, green, teal, all the way down. And then I'll start editing. Sometimes I'll add more. We'll see. So Olivia does not like green in her photos. So I usually take the green pretty drastically down. We try to just avoid it in general when we're shooting, because that's obviously always going to be the easiest way to have a style to your video, is to make the shot look good before you get it into the editor. We'll bring the orange up just a little bit and maybe a little bit of red as well. Go ahead and bring that.
I love that. It's so easy. Just you add the points and then whatever you want more of or less of, you just up and down. I mean, I think this was introduced 2019.
Yeah, it's relatively new.
Yeah. Real quick, to make an adjustment layer, is it file new adjustment layer, right?
Yeah, correct. File new adjustment layer. And you have to be in your project like browser to do that. You can't do it if you're clicked into the timeline. Just a little nugget there. So I believe
like making the color matte or making a synthetic, I think we call it.
Yes.
Adobe land.
So again, here with the hue versus hue, this is changing this hue. So for instance, if I want oranges to show up as blue, you can go crazy, which is,
you could, and it's cool.
It's fun. It could be fun. It almost looks like your chroma key in the background out here, because this is all so orange. But yeah, we usually keep everything pretty
warm.
pretty flat here. I'll warm up the oranges a little bit just because they looked a little green to me, and maybe a little bit with the yellow, just barely. If you get too crazy with that, the colors start to not look natural. And then same thing with hue and luminance.
On an adjustment layer, so you're not actually messing with any of the footage. Nothing is happening to the footage. If you don't like any of these changes, you can just delete the adjustment layer from the timeline.
Yeah.
It's still in your project. You can change your mind.
Yes.
Come back to it. Easy peasy.
Very handy. I love adjustment layers. I use them all the time. All right. And then same with luminance. It's pretty much the same deal all the way down. I'm going to leave it at this for now. I don't usually mess too much with luminance. You can though, if you want your oranges to be darker or brighter. Totally up to you and what style you're going for. So now we're going to come take a look at this, and we can already see this next clip is very green. So I'm going to select this B-roll clip, and I'm just going to go ahead and start up in basic correction, maybe warm it up a little bit, maybe a little bit more pink as well. And it's kind of throwing me off with the background color too, because it's a little bit more green, but that is okay. I'm just going to go ahead and turn that off for now. Oh, maybe not.
Well, that could be a good way to just kind of like gauge how your colors are matching up. I mean,
that's true.
Absolutely.
Just seeing them kind of like one behind the other.
Yeah.
So I do that with photos a lot when editing.
Yeah, that A/B comparison really helps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because after a while too, I feel like I start making adjustments. I'm like, am I changing anything? What have I done?
And you're like, yeah, I think this looks exactly the same. And then you pull up a side by side and you're like, I was way off.
Way off. And if you're just joining us today, we're here with Alivia and Zach Fields. We are learning to make cinematic content for social. This really wonderful tricks and tools at the moment to make your colors and your video feel have its own unique look, so that your content is also consistent across the social spaces. Yeah.
Yes. Zach's just here trying to match video to my Instagram feed.
With the focus of a laser.
Right. You can also mess with RGB curves. So I really like using these, especially with this iPhone footage. I noticed that it was pretty blue. So I just kind of brought this blue curve down a little bit on this track. You can see it's a little bit below, and that made it look pretty close. We'll call that close enough for now. And then since these were all shot outdoor, I'm going to go ahead and just select in the effects editor, the Lumetri color, and I'm going to paste it on here. You can see that warmed it up a little bit and made it blend a little bit better with this background.
And you put that last thing I want to talk on the clip?
Yes, correct. I'm doing this straight on the clip. So the adjustment layer is more of like my grade that I'm doing for everything. And then the clip individual parameters you can edit as well to make them match each other.
Yeah, it's just an effect. You can throw it on anything. I mean, I guess not audio.
So now I'm going to...
That wouldn't make any sense.
Yes, I'm going to
color
color
like my audio to be colorful as well.
So I'm going to work on this clip now, and we're going to talk about LUTs. So you can see that this clip is very flat. So the first thing I'm going to do in basic correction, it's the very first thing, is an input LUT. So I'm going to go ahead and browse for it. And again, this is kept in my reference files. So on my hard drive, I'm going to pick reference files. I've got my LUTs here. Fuji actually gives out LUTs for their cameras. So this folder is all from Fuji. So I'm going to pick my camera, the X-T4, and pick the LUT I want. I know I want this bottom one. So these are all 709 LUTs, which is just like kind of a standardized color format.
Right? So much better.
Bonito.
So it actually looks like a real video now, but you can see it's still not quite matching there. So we'll go through all the basic corrections now and kind of see what we can do. So it needs to be a lot more.
Yes, make his orange fur shine.
Yeah.
And let's go ahead and brighten it up a little bit. And those look pretty darn close. Maybe like a little more pink.
Boeing just serving us all the looks.
I know.
Serving us all the LUTs. Reverb pipe with the fuzz all day. Don't call me a LUTs.
That's awesome. And yeah, that looks pretty darn close.
If you are just joining us and you want to catch up, I mean, these episodes will be available on Behance behancenet.net/Adobe Live, and you can catch up to get to this point, because we've covered a lot of ground.
We have covered a lot of ground.
Impressed.
All right, so that's kind of the basics of coloring. Again, let's just do one more thing with the LUTs. I'm going to make another new adjustment layer, and we're going to color that beginning and ending footage, because that was also shot on the Fuji and it's in a totally different environment. So I'm going to go new adjustment layer. I'm going to drag this one in, and this whole bottom layer, kind of the way I've organized it, all the Fuji files are here that are primary shots, and then all the iPhone is above it. So I'm going to just make this adjustment layer, since this is everything below it is going to be Fuji. I'm going to go ahead and drag that over the top, and I'm going to bring in my LUT again here. It already was on the right folder, and open that up. And you can see that added a lot of life.
I'm no longer lifeless.
Yeah.
So again, I'm treating this as the color grade, so that'll affect everything. And then each individual clip needs to be color corrected. So the difference is the grade is stylistic, the correction is just matching all your clips to each other, is the way I like to think about it. So
and
this
your adjustment layer
clip
just affects what's under it. So that's why you left
Correct.
that extra video track there, right? So you can
Absolutely.
Is the adjustment layer that's going on the iPhone footage, though, it's not impacting this Fujifilm, because there's no Fuji
There's nothing
video
correct.
underneath, right?
Underneath it.
But if there were, you are correct, it would affect it if there was Fuji footage.
Like a
underneath it.
double adjustment.
Double adjustment.
Yeah, you got to get kind of creative with how you do it. Sometimes it's easier to just do each clip individually and copy paste. It's totally preference. There's a lot of different ways to work with it. So you can see that made it a lot better. Let's go ahead and just make this a little bit more balanced. So we'll tint it a little bit to the pink.
Hey, I recognize that
green. It's right behind me, right there. And honestly, like, that feels pretty good. This shot looks really nice, just straight out of the camera. Just throw the LUT on it. Maybe it needs like a little bit of contrast. Maybe lighten the blacks a little bit, but it looks
A little
pretty
bit
darn
more
good
warmth,
to me.
maybe. Just like a smidge.
Yeah. So I think that looks pretty good now.
Looks
That little
very
extra temperature.
Yeah, Fuji colors are very impressive.
That's
That's one of the reasons I switched over. Just one.
Full circle, full circle. Yeah. So thank you for reminding me to get back to this. What were the things that motivated you to make the leap over to Fuji from Canon?
There was a few. The first is, like I said, I had been shooting with Canon cameras for 8 years, and I was just a little bored. Like, I just knew the cameras so well, and the idea of picking up a completely new tool just was really exciting. Like, just going through another new learning curve sounded exciting. And also, at the point in time when I switched, we were doing a lot of traveling, and traveling with my Canon setup, like my 5D Mark IV, the 24-70 lens, like, it was getting so heavy and so bulky. And whenever we would go to like these new cities, new countries, like, I wouldn't even want to walk around and explore with my camera because it was so big and bulky and heavy. And so I discovered the Fuji, the X-T3 at the time. That was the newest one that was out, and we rented it. I mean, as you can see, the 4K video is incredible. The photos were just as good as my Canon, and even though it was a cropped sensor, but just the fact that it was mirrorless and it was so small, it looks like a little film camera. It has the like manual dials on the top, which I actually love having those dials on the top versus doing everything on the screen in camera. And just those few things really kind of like sealed the deal for me. And I just sold all of my Canon equipment, which was crazy, and switched to Fuji. Also, it was like half the price. Like, the Fuji setup, we had money left over from selling Canon stuff and buying.
You can buy the other fun stuff, like a nice little Ronin to stabilize shots.
Exactly. Again, the Fuji on something like the Ronin works way better than the 5D with the 24-70, just because it's a lot smaller and more compact. So if you are looking for like a real powerhouse of a camera that's also just a little more like inconspicuous and like you can take day to day, you could fit in like your purse or like a backpack, I definitely would recommend the X-T4, X-T3, or just, you know, the other lines of those like small mirrorless cameras.
Yeah, because you
So
are an
that's
intentional
why-
traveler, right? I mean, I wanted to ask a little bit more about what that means, but it sounds like it means like you want to experience a place without imposing yourself in it. But maybe you tell me.
Well, yes, I think when it comes to traveling intentionally, it's just like really thinking through things beforehand, even if it's just like thinking through, okay, like, do we want to make a video on this trip? Like, what do we want to do? Like, how do we want to tell this story? And how can we implement all the other aspects of our trip, like where we're staying, or even like where we choose to eat every day, or like how we choose to get there. Like all of those things really play into each other. I'm a pretty big advocate for like trying to be as like mindful as possible when traveling, and traveling with like a sustainable like longevity of life in mind. So just thinking through like, maybe we can stay at this like smaller boutique hotel versus a big hotel chain, or stay at an Airbnb and get a more local experience.
Shop local,
or
give back.
shop locally
integrate
when
into
we're
the community.
there.
That's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. That's actually what we were doing at the very beginning of this year before the world stopped spinning. We were going to one new city every month in the USA that we had never been to before. We were taking a year off of international travel, which worked out for us, and just exploring like our own backyard of the USA. And we were just going and showing like how to experience different cities in the US with sustainability in mind. Like, here are some ethical clothing shops to go to. Like, here's a cool like plant-based or zero waste restaurant. Like it was really fun. We only got 3 months into it. Austin was actually the second one we did, and we went all around Austin, which is where you are.
Yeah.
And we're highlighting like, here's some like sustainable things to do, and here's how to explore this and not like leave a huge footprint behind. So
Cool.
we'll get back into that at some point. But yeah, that's the little like story behind just like being an intentional traveler.
I like that. I like that. Walk me through what you've been up to, Zach, while we've been globe trotting. I see you've got the Essential Sound panel on, which is one of my favorite new panels to come about in the last few years.
I completely agree. I'm going to show one of my favorite features about it in just a minute. So I've gone through and I've selected all of these tracks of Alivia talking, and I've gone ahead and set them to dialogue, which if you want to see, you literally just click dialogue. And then I've gone and selected the music tracks, and I've also selected music. And then first thing I do is I always go through and do auto match to make everything a nice, even sound level. We'll do that there as well. And then my favorite feature with music is this ducking feature. So if you have everything in your timeline categorized, which I do, these are all dialogue, you can go ahead and duck it, and it'll do this all automatically, which used to take forever to do.
With the
so I want to duck it. Yes, duck it against dialogue. So that means that it's going to make it quieter when someone's talking, and then back to normal volume when someone isn't.
That background
so this
music,
song,
it'll
automatic.
get quiet when
futuristic.
I mean, it's the future. Absolutely.
So I'm ducking it 8 decibels, which this clip is, this soundtrack is actually pretty quiet. Usually I'm more around like -16 or 18 to get the sound to where I want it. And then literally all you do is click generate keyframes, and it'll think, it takes it a little bit because, you know, it's a lot of processing power, but it'll go ahead and it'll create keyframes for everything that you want. You can see them generated right there, so that this sound is loud here, and then it slowly dips down when Olivia's talking, and then picks back up as soon as we cut to some time that she's not talking. So that's pretty much everything I do in the Essential Sound. Of course, I can come in, and usually I have a preset, but I'll come through and do some de-essing and de-humming, and maybe a little bit of EQ for Olivia's voice, and I'll enhance it. Just a lot of little basic things that really make the audio go from like fine to a lot better. It adds a lot, especially the ducking. That is such an amazing feature.
I went back in the day when I was filming and editing more. I was a really big stickler on recording audio well in the moment, because it's one of those things you can sweeten up, but you can't really fix later on.
No,
in a
absolutely.
lot of ways.
And I'm definitely no audio buff, so.
But you got those
This
you
makes it
got
a lot
those mics, you got those Sennheisers, you keep the
True.
mic close to the source, and I mean that's an essential part of the toolkit that I think a lot of people forget, because especially with all the fun tools for filming, you know, people have their drones and their Ronins and their this and their, like, no mic. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, you got to have the basics. I know that was definitely something for us, because I'm such a video guy. I'm like, I want to get the drone, I want to get the slider, the Ronin, the
jib,
whatever it may be.
And
then
you
literally
did.
microphone's
We got
like
them
the
all.
last thing. No, I know, that's what I'm saying. Well, not a jib, but we'll talk about that another time. But then like microphones were the last thing we bought, and I'm like, I should have got this first, because it really makes such a big difference.
It does.
So
It
definitely
helps,
invest in the basics.
It helps with that give it that cinematic feel as well too.
All right, so the last thing that we're going to do is throw in some titles. So we need to put in a little link here, like Olivia said, to her Squarespace. So again, we're going to go into another relatively new panel, the essential graphics. And usually I'll go through and pick a template, because there's honestly lots of great templates that usually get the job done for me. But I'm going to go ahead and make my own. So I'm going to go to the Edit tab and click this to make a new text layer. And I'm going to call it, what is it? Squarespace.com/Olivia Fields. And the first thing I always do is set the anchor point to where I want it to be. Let me click off. Let it right there. Set the anchor point so that it's nice and centered. And then I'll go ahead and adjust the position. Either way, you're going to get to where you want it to be. I just really like everything to be already centered for me, and then I'll move these tools around. Just makes the numbers make a little more sense. So I'll bring it down to the bottom. Yeah, go ahead.
In your anchor point, you know, it depends if you're animating, you know, if you're scaling something up, if you wanted to scale from the center, from
Makes
the bottom,
a big difference.
Your anchor point will all depend on what you're doing with your text ultimately.
So now I'm going to hop down here to the font, and Olivia has a specific font that she likes to use called Benjamin Franklin.
Benjamin Franklin, just feeling patriotic.
That's also big important part of creating a look, is having consistent fonts, right?
Yes, literally, I'm so excited. Sneak peek. The next video we're going to be working on is how to like rebrand your business, or how to like redefine your aesthetic. I'm going to be picking a new font. It's a very big deal for me.
Ooh.
So just wait, you guys. The new look is coming soon.
Starting fresh.
Yes. I actually learned a lot about
right.
fonts at Adobe Max last year, and it really sparked a passion for fonts for me.
And just a shout out to one of my favorite apps that's Adobe Capture on your phone and is also free. You can just point your camera at any text and it'll tell you what font it is, or give you a close font.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
That is so cool.
What? Adobe Capture does that?
Adobe Capture, yes. So I love it for colors, because I love collecting color palettes.
That
So you
is
can
so
point it
cool.
at anything in the world that you see, and it brings up these color dots, and it gives you the hex
that's
value.
like
So cool.
Yeah, so like if you see like a flower,
oh my
like,
gosh,
this has the most beautiful color palette ever.
I'm getting it right now.
It's incredible.
Right now.
It's incredible.
That sounds so cool, because I love like colors and fonts, and branding is truly just like my highest like passion, and then like everything else just kind of flows underneath
Me too.
it. But
yeah, no, it's awesome.
I knew we were alike.
Olivia, I got you. And it just saves
ever since you said AB.
It just saves it to your Creative Cloud library too, so then you have all that information.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting it right now, you guys. I'm downloading Adobe Capture.
Voodoo Val says Adobe Cadabra, and it's true. It's very true.
That's very cool.
Awesome.
I'm excited about this color thing. I feel like I'm gonna walk around like getting
it's so
text
fun.
codes for everything now.
And you can make brushes. So like, old school, you would have to scan, like if you want textures for your images or something, you'd scan something under, download some like this one, you can just literally go take pictures of a brick wall and then turn it into a textured brush for Photoshop.
Oh, wait, I
So
actually
cool.
did learn
wild.
about that at Adobe
It's
Max
really
last
wild.
year. Yeah, that's so cool. I'm definitely intrigued by that, because I'm in like Adobe Sketch a lot, and I'm like, using all the different brushes in there.
Cool. Yes, you're gonna like it.
I feel like there's always new features that I'm learning in all of these softwares that I'm just like, I want to be a master of all of them, but I
Me
just don't have
too.
time.
I feel like it's gonna take me 20 years. I've been in Adobe products for a long time, and I still feel like I'm
Well, then there's going to be
barely
even more.
surface. Where are we at now, Zach? We've been geeking out.
All
about
right.
stuff.
That is okay. So I have just been adding all of the titles, kind of like I was saying. So I've gone in, I've done squarespace.com, typed how I wanted it. Over here in my essential graphics panel, I've gone ahead and added a shadow, which I'm usually not a huge fan of. So I made it pretty subtle. You can change the opacity
have a nice
of it.
Blur.
You can change the fall off distance, all sorts of things. So I've just kind of gone and made it look just subtle enough to make it pop from the background and not look too overbearing.
Nice.
Added the titles, the lower title for all of Olivia's ad placement, and then I've gone through and started adding in the titles for all of our gear. So I'm pretty much just going through each section and typing out, what it is. It's a Fuji X-T4, Fuji 16 millimeter, all of that good stuff. And I think.
And if this is something that you wanted to use in a different project, so in this case, you're doing a option drag, right? So duplicate it.
Correct.
But if you wanted to use it in a different project or a different session altogether, or share it, like you guys are on different computers and you're like, hey, I've already got this done. You can export this as a motion graphics template and share it via Creative Cloud or email or Slack. The cool thing about the Essential Graphics panel is that you can use both templates that are made in After Effects as well as Premiere. And the ones that you make in Premiere, you can use in Rush. So there's a little bit of a trajectory.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
I love the integration between
cool.
all of the apps. I remember when we first were able to drag like compositions from After Effects into Premiere, it just like blew my mind. And that's been a long time, but
yeah,
I just remember that was like, wow. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and change this last title right here. And then that's all we've got to do for this. And we're gonna turn it over to Olivia, and she's gonna show us how she makes the thumbnail for our videos.
Cool.
Yeah, that is always something that I am not good at. So she always makes very pretty thumbnails. All right, I'm all done.
Amazing. Okay, welcome to Zach's iPad, where for some reason, why does it say it's January 9th at the top?
Uh-oh, did we
It's
time
not
travel?
January 9th.
How long have we been doing this Adobe Live?
Oh my gosh.
No wonder we got so much
Welcome to
done.
2021. Okay, so I feel like this is kind of an underrated part of like just video creating if you are creating for social and wanting to upload things to YouTube, because like, where do you make a thumbnail? How do you make, like, it's just, I don't know, it's something you don't think about. But I recently this year started making all my thumbnails in Adobe Sketch, and they work great. So I start by starting a new project, and I made a custom YouTube thumbnail. You can see here, it's just like 1280 by 720, because those are the YouTube like pixels. So you can do that by making a new format here, making it custom, but I already have it. So we'll just start with YouTube. So this is the, this is the size of the YouTube thumbnail. And you have the layers over here. And I just start by adding in imagery. So I'm actually going to close this out and go to my actual project I made, just so I can spare you guys me like
it's so cool.
Everything in. So what I did was I started with an image layer, which you get by clicking a little plus on the top, and then you can click image layer. You can choose where you want to choose it from, like your iPad. You can take a photo, Creative Cloud files, or Adobe Stock, which is super cool. I just had Zach airdrop me a screen grab from the video, and that's what I used for this background. And then I like to color on my images. I just think it's so fun. Probably similar to the next session coming up, which is the doodle therapy. Maybe I should watch that. But I love coloring them. So I will just click the same thing,
this, and then a new sketch layer. And you can click and drag your sketch layers. This is similar to what we were just talking about in Premiere as well. If I want whatever I sketch on this, I'll just, I don't know, okay, sketch something. If I want it to be above that stuff, then I'm dragging above. If I want it to be below it, then it's hidden. So that wasn't a very good sketch. But basically what I do for this is I'll just make a little sketch layer and I'll bring it all the way to the top. And then from there, that's when I will start drawing. And I love that they have different brushes you can use here. This already has my like project colors in it. I love that you can see the history of colors that you've used, just so you kind of know what you're working with branding wise. And I'm using an Apple pencil right now, but you could also use like your finger too. And then you can just start like drawing. Like if I was just gonna write like photo, video, this doesn't look good, but I'm just showing you guys an example. You can use a little backspace button here, which is great up at the top. And then I just made some little doodles, each in like their own new layer, their own new sketch layer, just so if I wanted to move them around, I could. Like for example, this layer says it's the word bag, like what's in my camera bag. And I can transform just this one here. So I rotated it a little bit to kind of fit with the little arch theme. And then I can make it bigger, smaller. And I'm literally just doing all of this with
that's crazy.
My fingers,
Cool.
which is super easy. And they're all their own separate layers, so I can move them individually. But right now I kind of like how it looks. So let's say I want to scale up or down all of them. And instead of going and transforming each one, what I can do is click once on this and click merge down. So if I do this to all of these, we are merging all of these layers together. And what happens after that, let's see, oh, we actually didn't mean to do that one. We're gonna move this up here, merge this one down with my background. So now this is all one layer. What's in my camera bag with the little squigglies, the squiggly line behind it. And I can transform everything now that I've merged it down to one layer. So I can like kind of choose where I want to position it, bigger, smaller, gets the job done. And once I'm done with this and I want to give it to Zach for exporting and uploading everything to YouTube, I just click the little share button up in the top here, share image, and it pulls up. I can literally just airdrop it to Zach right now, except we're in different rooms and he's not close enough. So
sorry.
Pretend he
Let's
already
just
has
pretend
it.
Boom.
Yeah,
Real
save
quick,
and you're done.
There's a couple people wondering. This app is Sketch by Adobe, yeah.
Yes, Adobe Sketch.
Cool. And the other thing I wanted to mention is if you can save these things out as Photoshop files, I'm guessing, right? Can you export this file as a PSD? Because if you can do that, let's see.
Yes, you can send it to Creative Cloud as a PDF or Creative Cloud as a PSD.
So if you do a PSD, you could bring that in After Effects and you could animate. Let's say you made a couple different squiggle types. You could even animate it and they get wild. Just throwing that out.
That would be very fun.
That's definitely cool. I also love that, like, if I were to turn off like this background and I wanted to just save this as like a transparent PNG, I can do that as well. So oftentimes, instead of Zach adding text from Premiere, I'll draw out the text and then save this as like a 4K PNG and airdrop it to him, and then he can put my text into Premiere just to give it a little bit more of like a personal touch.
Absolutely. That's cool.
Give a little animation too. It's
I
always
love
fun.
it.
Yes. So that's just
awesome.
a fun way to just, add your own little something into your videos and make it a little more personal.
It's super personal. No one's going to see it. And no one's going to be able to find that on a stock site or anywhere else. You know, if you make a little bit of touches like that, like it just makes your content so much more unique. That's rad. Well, we have covered,
and that's it.
We have covered a lot of ground today. Thank you so much. We've been here with Alivia and Zach Fields, learning how to make really rad content. You guys made this super easy. I feel like I've learned so much. I hope y'all did too. Just wanted to give a shout out that there's a little bit of business I didn't take care of. We've got the Adobe Creative Residency Community Fund. We've raised over $1 million to provide some funds for artists to do a 2 to 4 week project. So be sure to go to adobe.com about Creative Residency Community Fund and see what it takes to apply. And we will be back tomorrow. We'll spend some more time in After Effects. We're going to spend some time in Rush, and we're going to keep going. Thanks for everyone in the chat. That was really rad. Thanks, Paco, keeping us flowing in the background. And thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks
See
for
you
having
guys
us.
tomorrow.
Yeah.